Welcome guys to my channel. In this video I'm gonna do a review after about 6-7 months and 3,300 miles of Genesis Gv70. Now the reason why I bought this car because of the interior. I think it's actually very nice. The new 2026 comes out with update. It's got a big ass screen on the front dash. I did not personally like this look. I like the actually cluster, the 3D cluster that's on these, but that depends on which model. Now Genesis is kind of a little quirky when it comes to the options, because I had a G70 for about 3 months and I love the look of that car, but the interior is so plasticky and cheap, I couldn't stand it. After 3 months, I just traded it in. The cluster that half digital, half analog, it is so cheap. You know, you could put it on a $15,000-$20,000 car, not on a $50,000 car. So let's be clear about it. Also, some of these clusters, they do end up on the Gv70 models. So if we break it down, you have a 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder. The 4-cylinder bottom two, they're gonna have it. Then the top model on the 4-cylinder is gonna have the digital cluster, but it has a cloth seats, which I mean at $60,000 or whatever it was, please put in Napa leather. When it comes to the 6-cylinders, twin turbo models. The bottom two, so the regular and the Sports Advance, also has that analog cluster, but the middle one actually has Napa leather, and the top model obviously has a 3D cluster and it has a Napa leather as well, but you got to go with the top. Also you have electronic rear differential, limited slip, and bunch of other things, but you're paying for it $72,000 out the door. That's the MSRP, and it's hard to get a discount on these cars. It was much easier to negotiate a G70, as they sell Gv70s way more than do G70s, so there's not a lot of room to leverage. Now when it comes to the looks, like for me, like I said, this is very, very personal. Like some people will like this car and some people don't. I like this car from some angle, but like from this angle kind of looks to me like a Hearst. I'm not a fan. I like the front of it. I like the headlights, the front grille. The wheels are decent. I've tinted the taillights in the back with translucent paint. The trunk is pretty small for this type of vehicle. If you have a large family, you travel a lot, which we're gonna talk about this later, you don't have really that much space. If I'm going to Costco and I shop for myself, I kind of load up this trunk pretty much full. So there's not a lot of space in this trunk. Now, I'm not gonna give you cubic inches or compare it to other cars because I don't have all the other cars, but personally, like I said, if I have a big family, I take trips, we like to pack shit, it's gonna be a little bit tight. So this is something I would go to the dealer and kind of look at it, because you're gonna have to live with it, right, for a while. The seats, like I said, these seats are Napa leather. I had a G80 when they came out. They had a Napa leather after 5 years and 60,000 miles. That leather still looked brand new. So if you take care of it, it shows very little wear. But like I said, you have to take care of it. That's why I kind of went for the Napa leather. You have a manual window shade. This underneath has got a silver trim. I kind of bought these carbon fiber looking thingies, but I actually don't like it because it kind of makes it too bulky, and it doesn't even resemble the real carbon fiber you have in these. And the real carbon fiber, I think you get on the Sport Prestige model. Front seats, nice bucket, way less adjustability than you get on the driver's side. The comfort, some people complain they're a little too hard. For me, they're when it comes to the firmness, it's just fine. You see a LED bar, light bar, and we're gonna talk about this later too. I like these nice thin vents kind of design. As you see, all this silver trim kind of goes across everywhere. You see more of this fake carbon garbage that I'm gonna be probably removing later on. Large cup holders. It holds my big Stanley or Yeti cup, no problem. Wireless charging pad. You don't have a USB-C, you have a USB ports. Also, you have charging in the back and you have a climate in the back, but that's gonna be in the Sports Prestige trim. On the lower trims, you don't get that. So the interior, from this point, kind of looks nice. Also, you get a heads-up display, as you see on these models. This is a keyless entry, so you grab the handle, you press the button, and it pops open. Now, this this kind of knockoff carbon kind of looking trim, I'm okay with this. That actually kind of cleans it up, because this was just a silver plate. I don't like this bulky as silver buttons, because as you see, everything looks nice and clean. All your buttons have a nice knurl on it, and then you got these big ass round up buttons that kind of they don't fit or match anything on this car. So I don't like this. And also, this is super, I wish this was black, the trim, and technically this whole thing should be black, and just leave some nice silver trim, because it's kind of bulky. Like, I don't know, to me it just doesn't look right. All the light bulbs and everything are LED. You have self-dimming mirrors. They are separate from the side mirrors, so this will dim. These don't have to. If there's not a lot of there's nobody behind you driving on high beams. So the cabin is, like I said, it's very clean. It's very kind of modern looking. The carbon fiber trim looks nice. So let's start the car. All right, so the 3D cluster, I personally love it. You're not gonna see it on the camera, but once the 3D is enabled, it looks like you got a bunch of layers of glass, and each layer has a different kind of feature, numbers, the needle, and also I have no idea how they did it, but it actually looks very 3D, and it's got a pretty good depth to it. However, this right here, this is the sensor for the eye, so that sensor has to see your eye. I'm 5'11", and I have to have my steering wheel high, because if I will lower to my liking, now the top of steering wheel is covering that sensor, and now now the gauge cluster looks flat. So for me to get that 3D effect, I have to raise it, and it's either I'm gonna keep my arm pretty high, or I have to keep it on the bottom. So to me, that's kind of, it's an okay design if you're 5'5", but if you're 5'9", 10, 11, you're technically, as you see, the steering wheel is gonna be high. That's one thing I don't like. As you see, I got that carbon fiber trim on the steering wheel here. Same thing is, it just adds a lot of bulk to it, so I'm gonna probably remove this too. I'm pretty good in using the vinyl carbon wrap, so I actually might just wrap it and see how that's gonna come out. When you start the car, you're gonna see the fingerprint sensor message. Now, nine out of 10, it doesn't work. You press it. Oh shit. Okay. This very rarely happens. So you put your finger a bunch of times, and it's gonna eventually it's gonna take you to a pad. You're gonna put in your 4-digit passcode, and that's gonna assign the Bluetooth to your phone, and technically all your personal settings will be applied. So like I said, so this most of the time it doesn't work for me. I'm not the first one. I've watched a bunch of videos before I bought this car. It seems like a common issue. The sensor just sucks, plain and simple. This I actually like. It's a very kind of classy yet modern look when it comes to design for auto, off, and such. All these are knurled. This is technically no touch, nothing. It's not functional. When it comes to these, I had to get used to it because a few times when I was trying to make an adjustment on the screen, which you do this on here, I was trying to turn the knob. So it's gonna take a couple days before you kind of get that muscle memory to get used to what's where. How to hold your menus, everything is, like I said, very knurled. These are nice quality aluminum cameras, drive modes, your parking assist. It's gonna be hard to see, but this trim right here around inside, there's a blue light, LED light. So is here. Maybe you're gonna able to see it goes around here. However, they didn't bother to put it on the door, which I don't understand, because if you buy the Sport Advanced model, instead of carbon fiber, you have this nice 3D LED panel. It actually looks very nice. I actually like it more than even carbon fiber trim. So since they already have wiring, why not put in a nice LED? So you have this kind of continuing bars and theme and everything, and it seems like Genesis kind of went half-ass on a lot of things in a car. Like they took a lot of time to make everything perfect, design nice materials, and then just slapped the rest of it, or just took shortcuts. Okay, so that's interior, but that's just my little kind of quirks. Now, when it comes to the comfort, and obviously you have a nice big glass panel on the roof. You have a moonroof or sunroof, half of it opens, and you have the screen kind of shade. So what it does, it just it quiets the cabin down from the wind. I can tell you that when it comes to the sound in a cabin, when you drive, it's not that quiet. G80 was very quiet. G80 was like perfect car for me. There was nothing I could literally bitch about. This car, it's not quiet. The suspension it's not firm, nor it's harsh. It's kind of in the middle. The seats, a lot of people complained on reviews that they're a little bit harsh or hard, and I can tell you that I have no idea how they did it, but I'm not the first one to complain about that. You drive this car for about an hour and a half, you're gonna be tired. I have never experienced that before. There's something weird about this car that makes you tired. I would not want to drive this car for 10 hours. And like I said, I've watched a long-term review by different gentlemen, and he said exactly the same thing. So it's not just me. When it comes to the gasoline, 91 plus recommended, especially since it's a turbo. If I don't do a lot of stop and go traffic because I don't live in a city. I'm getting about 21 to 22 on average, kind of like pretty slow, relaxed driving. I've used 93 and I've used 87. I'm on 87. You lose about 2 miles to the gallon, a little bit of horsepower, but not that noticeable. If that matters for somebody, and some people's like, well, you got this car, you should be putting 93. You do whatever you want to do. What I'm just saying, I tried both of them. The car drives on 87 just fine. You know, when it comes to one of my biggest problems with this car is the paint quality. And what I mean by that, I have never had a car that chips as easy as this one. So like I said, I haven't been driving this car much, and it seems like every time I come back home, I have a new chip on that. So the paint, this is the worst paint I ever actually had. If you're like me and you want to take care of your car, you're gonna be technically sitting there with a little tiny brushes and filling up these chips with the paint. Like I said, I don't know if they're technically cheaped out on the paint like they did on, you know, some shortcuts and other things, but this is the absolutely worst paint that I had to deal with. And since this is a black car, it's like I said, it's very visible. Usually I clean the car after I drive it. I put a cover on it, so sometimes I don't drive it for 3 weeks, and each time I do it clean, I just see a new paint chip. So the paint is actually pretty horrible. It sucks to, like I said, to even drive it for an hour and a half. It's a good looking car on inside design with minor quirks. The outside, that's going to be, you know, hit or miss for some people. It is a nice car. It is $72,000. So the question was, would I buy it again if I could go back? And no, I wouldn't actually buy it. But since I have it, and I have payments, technically, I don't feel bad about it, and I'm gonna keep it for good couple of years because I've changed cars way too many times in the last 5 years, and each time you do it, you lose a lot of money. But like I said, if I had a choice, no, I wouldn't buy this car again. It's just for that amount of money, it's not worth it. To mention something, so the seats, these are supposed to be ergo seats. That means you have a kind of built-in massage. I don't know if it's called massage, but it's not. If you have a lumbar adjustment in your seat, right, you're gonna feel like something bulky kind of come out, or you can go up and down. This is that massage. There's actually no massage. I had a Land Rover Evoque P300 R Dynamic. That was a good massage. Like I would, you know, leave work and just turn it on, you know, and that was a good massage. I have no idea. And by the way, Land Rover had that massage in both seats, and it was cheaper than this car. I have no idea why they even put that. It's a joke, you know. It's I don't even like. I don't know what to say. Like how pathetic this massage, you know, in that price range is. And you know, Genesis, like I said, I don't know if it's, I mean, with these designs and these trims and these options that they do, it's, you know, like to be honest with you, as much, I think what did it for me and why I kept buying Genesis is because of the G80 just seems so perfect. But like I said, the G70, you know, that was, I mean, that was a total letdown. This one is kind of, you know, in the middle. Like I said, I don't mind driving it. I love the interior, but you know, like I said, you know, when I go to the city and I come back, that's like 3 hour drive. I'm just tired. My back hurts, and and whatnot. So what do you call it? So it is what it is. Like I said, and for $72,000, you kind of expect a little bit, something a little bit different. I should have kind of go and checked, other cars in that price range, and maybe make a little bit different decision. But when it comes to just that interior, that's what did it for me. There's no other car, in my opinion, and for my liking, that has a nicer interior than this. So that's why I bought it. So I don't know. Like I said, I mean, if you're planning to buy one, or if you have similar or different opinion about your GV70, if you find it comfortable, you can, leave a note for somebody else. Because, like I said, there might be somebody on the market kind of looking at the car. So it's good to know these things because, at least when you go to the dealer and you take a test drive, you know what to look for. You know what to look for. And like I said, this is kind of, pretty hefty sum to spend on a car that, after you have it for a little bit, you kind of don't love it as much as you thought because you find a bunch of these, little things kind of quirky. Nevertheless, I think this video has already been a little bit for too much longer than I expected. Thank you very much for your time. And I hope you found this video helpful. Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.